All right, welcome in. It is $5 Tuesday. It is time for Total Bases. Two-man show today. Tokyo Brandon has a prior commitment. He'll be back tomorrow. So for today, you're stuck with Brian and I. Let's have a great show. Brian, how did your Monday go?
Mixed bag. We did win our free play on Kansas City plus the 1.5. They held on. They for a while there looked like they were going to win that game, and we won our 4% play. We had the under in the Angels game 1-1 through 9 innings again. Then had to go through another extra inning thing. But luckily, we had such a padding that we were able to win that. Unfortunately, the two lesser plays, the Brewers. And I had two of them. Each of them lost by a run. So overall, I think we might have lost a little bit. But if I'm going to lose a game, I don't mind losing it by a run. That means you're close. It's when we get blown out is when I have to understand that your handicapping was off in that game. So yeah, overall, lost about 1.5 units or something. But can't complain. We won our 4%, and that's what everybody bought, so we're good on that.
See, I'm a little opposite where like I can live with losing when I'm straight up wrong. Like I made one play yesterday. It was the Orioles. It was just wrong. I'll live with that. If I lose, like if I have a team choke away a lead or lose a game that I feel like I should have won, that gets me far more than that. Like I want to get blown out. If I'm going to lose, just blow me out. I'd rather lose when I'm wrong. I can't stand losing when I feel like I was right, which has happened to me far too often in this Major League Baseball season. Like way too much. Where I've essentially been correct and somehow it's been a loss. So yeah, I guess we see.
I'd rather realize that the game was a coin flip and it could have gone either way, as opposed to being completely wrong. If it's completely wrong, it's my own fault, and I got to go back and readjust. If it's a game that ends up 3-2, they give up a home run in the bottom of the ninth or the eighth or whatever. It's baseball. It happens.
Yeah, they don't pay you for being close though. In this, it's either
unless you get plus 1.5.
Unless it's a plus 1.5, yeah, it's either a win or a loss. I've got a choking away. I'm having just the ninth inning luck I'm having this year is about to blow another one in KBO. It's honestly been like mind blowing how many games I've had go into the ninth inning that are like essentially wins that turn into losses. But hey, we have to battle through it. It is part of the grind. It's been a good 2026 for me otherwise. So we'll try to get back in. Yeah, we'll try to get back into it today. $5 Tuesday. Myself, Bryan Leonard, Tokyo Brandon will have plays up on the website for $5 today. So check that out, as will all the other handicappers as well. We did. Grant's dad pops in. Appreciate you. We did. It looks like St. Jude's won our poll by a landslide yesterday. So we will don't. So basically the way it works is, because there was some confusion, like the $4.99 doesn't like we hit a threshold, and when we donate all of it. So usually we cross over $500. As soon as all the shows cross over 500, sometimes like last time, I think it was like $800 we donated to Fisher House. And so it'll be whatever ends up being the, I think five, 6, 700, whatever it is, after they tallied up probably today, we'll go to St. Jude's and then we'll post it on the page. So we appreciate you guys. Contributing, because this show is driving the bus for that. We're getting far more donations than any other show. We have the best chat. And so we really appreciate you guys doing that. Looks good for us. And, and Wager Talk loves being able to help in that regard. They do a ton of it on their own as well. So,
yes, they do. Yeah, we've got some really big-hearted people working for the company. Everybody out in Detroit's office, just the nicest people. And if you've ever called the office and tried to negotiate with them on a deal or something, that they'll do anything they can for our valued audience. And you mentioned we've gotten more sales than anybody when it comes to the donations, and I'm very proud of that. I think the people that watch our show are giving people, and they're giving back, and it's good karma. Where all three of us are having a good baseball season. The charities are making some good money. We're all happy. Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better situation than we're in here.
Mark Lambert, I'll get to Dylan Cease for you. Of course I want to talk about him. I've been driving the Dylan Cease bus. I said 2 months ago he was your AL Cy Young, and I still believe that's going to be the case. But first, the feature game national TV tonight, Bryan Leonard. I thought by this point in the year, this would be like a huge matchup between the two best teams in the American League. I don't, it's, it's crazy. There's still an argument to be made that these could be like 2 months from now, the two best teams in the American League. Yeah. But right now they're not. You're shaking your head. I still think the Yankees have the ceiling of being the top team in the AL, maybe not so much their opponent tonight. So Yankees, Mariners to you. How do you see this one?
Yeah, it very well could be. And unfortunately, the American League is going to be an underdog no matter who they get into the playoffs to play the National League, because the National League has just been dominant this year and they've got the better teams. It's probably 3 or 4 teams in the National League I would take over anybody in the American League. I'm glad we went to this one first because this is going to be my part of the parlay today. Seattle's at the Yankees. Wu against Weathers. Weathers is the lefty. We're looking at the Yankees about a 130 favorite here, and a total of 8 slightly to the under. And, Bryan Wu has really struggled on the road all year. And I've talked about this in the past where all these Seattle pitchers, that's usually your home and road ERAs are about a 1 to 1.5 run differential because Seattle's such a good pitcher's park. His has been horrendous this year. It's more than I've seen any starter have for the discrepancy, the dichotomy, home and away. It's got to be in his head. And now he's pitching in New York. The fans in New York are going to let him know it, that he stinks on the road. And he especially is bad against lefty batters. On the season, he's really struggled against lefties. He's got a 353 WOBA, a 489 slugging in 34 and a third innings on the road this year. Against lefty bats, he's given up 29 total runs. So he's really bad against lefties. And what do the Yankees do? They throw a lot of lefties at you. They got 7 guys probably going to start today against Bryan Wu. And if you're a right-hander and you can't get lefties out, that's not a recipe for success. Ryan Weathers has got I think he's got a 52 game score on the season, and Wu's got a 54, but it's just on the road. He's been terrible. But Weathers has got a 52 game score. League average is about 50. And he's been very good as of late. His last 3 starts have really been good. And it takes a certain personality to pitch in a media capital like New York. And some players struggle with it. We've seen Williams, who just went on the DL for the IL, for the Mets. He has struggled. He's been in both New York cities or teams and struggled at both places. So it takes a certain person to be able to pitch in this. And, Weather's coming over from Miami. Nobody cares. It's just sort of there for the weather. And he pitched very well. Well, then you go on all of a sudden to Yankee Stadium. And it's taken him a time to get going. But now he's pitching very well lately. And you're getting the Yankees here in a 130 range, where I think is very cheap. We've got 2 teams right now that are really struggling in hitting. But I think the Yankees are going to break out a little bit against Wu today. And if it was somebody other than a name that, Brent Wu is a really good pitcher. He's still ranked in like the top 30 pitchers in Major League Baseball. But he has not played well on the road. It's got to the point now that it's been a long time. You go back like his last 9 starts, 7 of the last 9 starts have been, in the 40s for a game score, which is less than what you want. So it's a consistent problem. It doesn't seem to be a little thing that you can hedge back on. Until it happens, I'm going to try to fade Bryan Wu, and we're going to get a pretty good number. So give me the Yankees here at minus 130. You can get it less than that at most places, but just keep it at even number at minus 130.
Yeah, I thought the price was a tad high based on my numbers, but I certainly agree with you. I certainly think that, for whatever reason, I feel like that people don't think the Yankees did a good job at the trade deadline. I disagree with that. I actually thought, getting, based on where their team was prior to the deadline, to bring in Garcia and bring in Ramos, I think is definitely an upgrade from what they were running out there the week before. The George Lombard call-up has kind of been, I would say, a little bit unexpected for them. I mean, I've been watching this guy in the minors for a couple of years. I think any Yankee fan would say that they were excited about him. But of course, these same fans lived through Anthony Volpe. If you remember back when Volpe was in the minors, it was the same thing, setting the minors on fire. Couldn't wait for him to get up. So like the fact that Lombard, it's obviously a short sample, but the guy had a 34 game on base streak in the minors. I mean, it's not like, I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I think it's been a pleasant surprise that he's played as well as he has since being called up, but like he should be pretty good. And there's no question that having him in the bottom of the order looks a lot like suddenly that order, that lineup just looks a lot better than it did a week and a half ago. When instead of Wells, Caballero, Volpe, like some of these other guys at the bottom, now you got Lombard who's getting on base. Garcia and Ramos, if nothing else, are providing protection to Ben Rice, who's got a 900 plus OPS. And then, of course, I was really impressed. I was at the game on Saturday, Brian. Spencer Jones having really good at-bats against Chris Sale. That's not something, him putting the bat on the ball like that against a tough lefty is not something we've really seen at the big league level yet from him. A lot of swing and miss so far. He has elite power. And if he's going to start forcing pitchers to respect his ability to put the ball in play, and now you've got a couple of these big boys in front of him where he might start to get pitches to hit, I do think it kind of unlocks this Yankee lineup that really even this weekend still kind of scuffled a little bit. Those wins this weekend were not necessarily offensive wins. They had some really good pitching, and they were able to win a couple of tight games against the Braves. So I'm with you where I think you missed your chance to get the Yankees. I think if you had been betting against the Yankees the last couple weeks, the White Sox series comes to mind where you would have made money betting against them. That was the time to do it. Now, I think this team probably takes over as the best team in the American League the rest of the way. Obviously, the Rays are going to have something to say about that, but I too like the Yankees here, and I hope you win because it's our parlay league. So yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good call.
By the way, did we hit our parlay yesterday? Okay, I don't remember.
Well, we looked like we were going to hit it until the A's shipped 8 runs in the 8th inning. They turned a 6-2 lead into a 10-6 deficit, and we had A's plus 1.5 for the final leg of the parlay. So yeah, an 8-run inning. I suppose a good segue here. So let's go to that other team. I mean, listen, you look around the American League, Brian, and that's what makes it tough because it's like the Yankees still have flaws, in my opinion. It's a flawed team, but you start to look around the AL and you're like, who's better than this team in a potential 7-game? Like who's better, right? Certainly no one from the AL Central, certainly no one from the AL West, although I think the Astros are starting to play their way into the conversation at least. It would have to be their division mate, the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they're the one team right now that you could really make a case to like power rate number 1 in the AL. They're certainly running it up on this road trip. It was a pretty favorable road trip for them, although the sweep in Seattle still very impressive to me. I think they have 7 straight wins. I know they're 7-0 on the road trip. Not sure if they won the game before, but the team just plays winning baseball, and now they're out west again tonight against the A's. So Rays A's to you. How do you see this one?
Yeah, they're a very good team. The Red Sox are a very good team also. You would have to think at this point, whoever wins the American League East is probably the one that's going to win it all. I'm still not a believer in the Astros. They're sitting 2 games over 500, but they've been outscored by 25 runs on the season. Yes, their ace pitcher looks like he's finally back and he's pitching pretty well, but I don't like that Astros lineup other than the first base DH. So they've gotten some runs lately out of guys that haven't done anything all season. We'll see. I don't know. But Tampa Bay at home, 41-20 or 41-18, but 31-28 on the road. TB's been talking about how good they've been at home, but they've been very good on the road also. They're 26-23 against over 500 teams, and there's only a few of those in the American League. The Red Sox 28-24, the Tigers 29-27, the Houston Astros, and that's one thing the Astros are good at. They're 28-15. But other than that, most of the teams struggle against really good teams. But that's what you need to look at when it comes time for the playoffs. Yeah, Tampa Bay has won 7 in a row, and they've got a really good pitcher, Nick Martinez, going today. Everybody keeps waiting for Nick Martinez to struggle, but he has pitched very well for them. And this is, you talk about certain ballparks where guys can pitch well. I talked earlier about Brian Wu pitching at home. This has been a good situation for Nick Martinez. He's actually been better on the road than he's been at home, and this is a good pitcher's park in Tampa. On the road, he's got a 1.85 ERA, and he's faced he's gone 58 innings on the road and with a 1.85 ERA. I don't care who you are. That's really impressive. 3.31 at home. So he's been better on the road than he is at home, but I like him here. I like the situation. You're looking at Tampa Bay, basically a 165 favorite here against Barnett for the Athletics with a total of 10. 10 is actually kind of low when you think about it, but I read an article about the A's since, I believe it was since the All-Star break, or it might have been, I think it was the All-Star break. They have the highest ground ball rate in Major League Baseball. They're hitting the ball hard. They're hitting it on the ground. You're playing in a ballpark that the ball flies out of it. When you're hitting in ground balls. Last time I looked, ground balls don't go over the fence. So that's been a real problem for them, as they can't lift the ball in Sacramento. But the other teams don't have any problem lifting the ball in Sacramento. So I kind of like Martinez here. I'm not going to lay it because I don't like to lay those kind of numbers on the road very often. But, the A's snuck up and got a couple of wins, but still they're fighting for the worst record in baseball right now. I like Tampa in this one, but I got to find a different way to look at it. Maybe Tampa team total over, something to that effect. But I prefer them over the A's in this one.
Yeah, see, I mean, I like the A's again. This is yesterday's a scenario where I don't really think I was incorrect about how the game would go. I mean, listen, you have a 6-2 lead in the 8th inning, and you have plus 1.5. Like more often than not, you're probably right about that. An 8-run inning right there to flip that is just not going to happen every day. That being said, I think you do have to acknowledge the fact that it's the A's. They have a terrible bullpen. This is not a good baseball team. Really, I mean, they're 47-72 on the season, Brian. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a team that played 500 ball through like the first 2 months of the season, or like maybe first 6 weeks. We'll call it 6 weeks, maybe into May. So like, think about how bad they've had to be. Like, if you essentially played 500 ball through, I want to say maybe the first 60 games, like 50 games or 60 games. Like, just think about how bad you have to be from that point forward to get to 47-72. It goes back to the conversation we had prior to the season, where the collection of pitchers on this team is as bad as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. They really have zero bullpen. The starters are quite, outside of like the young guys who are still a little bit inconsistent, Gage Jump and JT Ginn. The starting pitching is atrocious. Mason Barnett is one of these younger guys, but like, he wasn't the caliber of a Ginn or a Jump in the minors. So it's like, those two on Gage Jump's best day, he's going to go out and probably throw 6 or 7 pretty good innings. I think the same thing with JT Ginn. Mm-hmm. Now, Mason Barnett was another one of these high draft picks, but I watched a ton of him at Vegas. Never had the numbers those other guys did. Doesn't have the stuff those other guys do. So, like, again, I look at him at the big league level, and I think he's maybe a little bit in over his head. Whereas I see someone like a Jump or a JT Ginn, and I'm like, all right, these guys are going to compete in the big leagues. Like, those are big league pitchers. They're going to compete in the big leagues. Mason Barnett has never really done that for me. So even though I think there's maybe some value taking the plus 1.5 with the A's, similar to yesterday, I do think the Rays are a little bit inflated here. I have to decide if I want to do it with Barnett or not. Now, would I be perfectly fine fading Nick Martinez in this spot? Like, yes, because I just like you pointed out his road numbers being pretty good, but he's not supposed to be this good in a small ballpark.
Yeah,
he's got 280 batting average, expected batting average against. He has virtually no strikeout rate. He doesn't strike guys out. He's not out there trying to strike guys out. He's trying to induce soft contact. He's top 10% in the league in hard hit rate allowed. So that means the least hard hit rate, but it's an extreme fly ball pitcher, bottom 20% in ground ball rate. So he's going to give up hits in the air, and he's just going to hope, he's going to try to spray it around, hope that you're not squaring him up. And he's done a really good job of that. The problem is this ballpark, there are pop-ups that will leave this ballpark if you hit it to the right place. Is that enough to, get the A's going here? Maybe. They did score last night. So again, I do like the A's plus 1.5. It's one of a handful of plays I'm considering today. I will wait till the end before I decide if I want to put this in the parlay, but that is the way I'm looking. Go ahead.
Well, here's your problem with the A's. I like their young talent on this team. But listen to these guys that are not going to be playing. They're on the IL. Shea Langoliers could be the best catcher in the American League other than the Yankee catcher, although he DHs a lot. Nick Kurtz could be the best first baseman in the American League. He's that good. Joshua Kuroda-Grauer came up, and he was a spark plug for this team.
Yeah.
And to the way he is no longer in the game, what happened to him, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm a guy. Don't like to.
Yeah.
But him not being there, it really hurts him. And then Brent Rooker, I know he didn't have a good season, but Brent Rooker coming into the season was expected to hit 40 home runs in this ballpark. So they are missing so many good players, and they've had to have guys from the minors up there. And, Jonah Heim has gotten new life by playing for this team. He was a guy that people were cutting on a regular basis and going from one team to another. I just have major concerns about this A's offense. And, this is not the best stadium for Tampa Bay's pitcher to pitch in, but he's continually done this kind of thing all year long. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then you've got your supposed star, Jacob Wilson, with a 692 OPS. He's battled some stuff this year, too. It's a good point. I thought that was a very good conversation because, again, the A's are super tempting at plus money. They're tempting plus 1.5. And they may have their day. Like it's very possible, but I think you make some very good counterpoints on the Rays. George Barnes says, I was on the over yesterday, maybe the over again. I can't really argue with that with the pitchers, the ballpark. Certainly seems like we could see runs again. Okay, let's go to Mark Lambert. He wanted to talk about Dylan Cease. I think that's a pretty big game. So we'll stay here in the American League East. Dylan Cease. Here's the thing with Dylan Cease. I've been kind of I've been taking shots with Cease the last month or so. For the most part, I've done okay. Got screwed. There was another one of those ninth inning disasters that I brought up at the beginning of the show. I had the Blue Jays in Dylan Cease's last start. He was phenomenal. And then a closer with a 1 ERA gave up a 2-run homer with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the bottom of the ninth to tie the game. Cost Dylan Cease a win. We know Bryan Leonard wins and losses don't really matter. I feel like even in the Cy Young race where they used to really care about that for whatever reason, I think we've even graduated to that not really mattering for the Cy Young Award race. Dylan Cease has been phenomenal. What I saw here, though, first time I think I've seen it, Brian, where the line has really shifted. Now, all of a sudden, just to put it in perspective, last week, Cease against David Peterson, Blue Jays Cubs, you could have got Dylan Cease minus 107 in that game. Okay? Whereas now you're being asked to pay minus 145 against what is a very, very good ball club in the Red Sox. So I love Dylan Cease. I think he's your AL Cy Young. I'm not paying that much for him in the Blue Jays here. Brian, Blue Jays, Red Sox to you. How do you see this one?
Sandoval, the lefty, against Cease. Cease is about, as you mentioned, about a 145 favorite here, and a total of 7. I would have had an interest in playing this if it was 7.5. There is a 7.5 out of the South Point here in Vegas if you're local, laying 115, which isn't a bet, which is actually a pretty good bet. considering other places are minus 110 on a 7. So you're only playing a nickel more. So that probably won't last long because people will see that. But yeah, it's to me, it's definitely a game where I like the pitchers better than the hitters. Toronto just does not hit lefties. They're one of the worst in Major League Baseball hitting lefties. They've been bad the last month overall hitting. Boston had that real hot streak, but they really have not been good against righties. I think they got a 93 on the season, a 93 WRC plus. Normally, your league average is 100. So both of these offense, even though they've got a lot of big name players, getting a lot of players that we think are a pretty good hitting team, I don't think they're going to do much in this game. The Toronto bullpen, the back of the bullpen I really like right now in Boston has been a solid bullpen pretty much all season long. So if you can get a 7.5, not laying more than 120, I think that is a good bet, but you're going to have to search for it. Seven's just too low for me. I can't go under that, but I can see it happening. But in this ballpark, which is a decent hitter's ballpark, a 7 is kind of low. You don't see that in Toronto very often, and I don't care who the pitchers are. So slightly lean with the under here, but don't know I'm going to get there until I can see a lot of 7.5s on the board.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that being the key number. I really have very little interest in the side here, as I already said. I'm not fading Cease and the Jays at home, but I'm also not going to pay that price. I'm at 7.2 for a total, so I'm right there with you. Where I think if you could get a 7.5, it makes sense. I always say that with that 7.5 number, I'm comfortable with it. If you at least have one legitimate ace. Dylan Cease is absolutely that. No question about it. He's a top 3 pitcher in Major League Baseball this year, certainly top 5. And then Patrick Sandoval is, he can go out and deliver a good outing. And then the other thing is the Blue Jays, even on this little run that they've had, it's been more timely hitting than just big time offense for them. I felt like that Philly series, they always had the timely hit there. Couple of close wins earlier in the week. I believe it was the Astros where they won a couple low scoring games with a timely hit. And then last night, 2-1, not much offense there. 1 run on a play where people forgot how many outs there were in the game. So, not a really huge offensive output for either team last night. 7 hits for the Jays, 6 hits for the Red Sox. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was low scoring. And I think if you can get an affordable under 7.5, it does make sense. But you would have key number. I don't want to see you playing an under 7 here. It's just, you got to try to get that 7.5 at a reasonable juice, if you want to play the under in this game. All right, happy Tuesday. Yeah, it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. All plays, every handicapper will have plays on their page for just $5. So certainly take advantage of that. Brian, I need preseason football to start because I'm in a little bit of an August swoon here on the bases. I was just as hot as can be into the All-Star break and even really to close July. August has not been very kind to me yet on the bases. A lot of blown leads, some bad calls. I had the Orioles last night. It was just the straight up wrong side. But I've won 4 straight years in preseason. So the NFL preseason, I've turned a profit 4 consecutive years. It's a total over that span of 34 units, 34.47 units. And listen, I know we had the Hall of Fame game. For me, I rarely play that game. So the preseason for me starts on Thursday, week 1, and we hit the ground running. There's no easing into the preseason. It's 3 weeks, and we're going to take advantage of those 3 weeks. So huge special on my page, get you the entire preseason, roughly similar to 3-day all access for any other sport. So take a look at that. Join me for the NFL preseason. It's one of the best 3-week stretches of the year to bet football. I'll argue that with anyone. It's a great time to find some value and bet football. Alex Rand wants to go to the White Sox. He said, "Morning, gents. I like the White Sox, but not at this price." So the White Sox, of course, hey, that was a loss I took on Sunday. I was very surprised that your Guardians no-showed that game. Obviously, the rain didn't help, although I did think it would help their bullpen. The White Sox, no one needed an off day more than this team. With the bullpen usage from Thursday to Sunday was maybe as off the charts as it's been for any team all year. They get the day to regroup yesterday, and now it's Sean Burke at home against Nick Lodolo. White Sox Reds for Alex Rand. How do you see this one, Brian?
I'm glad this was asked about because I just saw the total is dropped to 7.5. Before I get to the game, though, I do want to do a little promo since you did your same, and TB's not here to do the promo, but
yes,
the last 12 months I've produced more net profit in all sports than anybody else on WagerTalk, and I believe it was 118 units. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who joined up for the year-long special. We're now up to about 145 units, so it just continues to get better and better. You can pick up all of our plays in every sport. I play all the major sports in baseball, basketball, hockey, and football for a full 12 months, and you're basically getting each of our plays for less than $1. Last year, we had over 1,200 plays. I expect to have at least that much this year, and we're getting it, I believe the price is $1,188. Normally, it's closer to $2,000. So this is a great deal. If you want to sign up for my service for 12 months, grab it now because I think it may be ending today or tomorrow. We've had some people join yesterday, so it's a great deal. If I've proven anything, it's my consistency over 12 years, number one in net profit in baseball, net profit in hockey all time. So yeah, if it's a great savings, I wouldn't be promoting it if it wasn't. So it's a great deal for you. Getting back to this game, Lodolo and Burke. Lodolo's the lefty. He's back. He's been having major blister problems all season long. He's a very good pitcher, but he just can't stay healthy, and that's been his problem going against Sean Burke, who's having a really big year for the White Sox. Burke right now is about a 155 favorite, but that total is 7.5 minus 115 to the over. I've talked about this. When the White Sox have a day off, it rejuvenates their batters. It's also, as you mentioned, really good for the relievers if you're having a reliever problem. To get that day off, get a little bit away from it a little bit, and I like to play certain teams in that way that they have the day off before, not only for the hitters but for the pitchers. And I think it's like 16 straight times that the White Sox have gone over after a day off. So I don't remember if it's the team total over or if it's the game over, but both have been very close, 16-0, 15-1, something to that effect. So if the line is 7.5, why is this 7.5? I mean, what has Lodolo done to prove that this line should be 7.5? Burke, I understand that, but Cincinnati's offense has not had a good season, but they're hitting a little bit better now than they have pretty much all year long. They're starting to come around a little bit. So if I'm playing this game over. You can get over 7.5s out there. I see a minus 110, minus 15s across the board. I think that's a pretty good bet. You only need 8 runs, and Chicago's a decent hitting ballpark. So this is one that I actually thought about adding to my clients. I do have my 4% up already for $5. 11-2 run on totals. 20. What is it now? 20. Give me just 1 second. We're now on our 4 and 5% plays of 4 or 5% plays at 24-7. I should remember that 24-7. That should be easy to remember. After tonight, let's hope it's 25-7. But yeah, I like the over in this game.
Yeah, I could see the over. I'm at 8.1 on a number, so certainly 7.5 shows some value to the over. It's another one where it's like this isn't prime Nick Lodolo and Sean Burke. I like what Burke has done. So, like, again, I would gravitate toward the White Sox here, but very similar to the Blue Jays game we just talked about. Kind of a crazy price, in my opinion, to pay for a White Sox team that hasn't really played their best ball over the last month or so. Like, to me, that's just it's still shocking to see the White Sox being like $1.60 favorite to anyone. Remember, we're not that far away from like a 100-loss White Sox team.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's still jarring to see them be that big of a favorite in a game like this. I kind of disagree with that, but I don't really want any part of the Reds. So, to just add some fuel to your over handicap, This is a scenario where I don't even know if one off day is enough to fully reset this bullpen. They played they played a 13 inning game in Boston on Thursday. On Thursday, needed a bunch of relievers. On Friday, they messed up the mound visit, so Noah Schultz had to come out in the first inning. They play a 6-3 game, which they win on Saturday and use all their leverage guys to close out a 6-3 win. And then on Sunday, there is a rain delay that knocks their starter out after the first inning. This is a scenario where I'm not sure one off day just resets all these guys. There is serious usage there. Is someone like Grant Taylor, who closed the game out on Saturday, probably fine here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like a lot of guys through a lot of innings, I still think that like they maybe would be a little, outside of Taylor, I think the bullpen's probably a little vulnerable still, the White Sox pen. So yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I think I'd go over here. I'm at 8.1. It makes a lot of sense that 7.5 is too low.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of guys that pitched through the last 3 days, obviously with the day off. Hagen Smith was called up. And now Hagen Smith is one of their guys that they have really high hopes for, but they're going to pitch him out of the bullpen. He did throw 48 pitches 2 days ago, so he will not be available.
He's not pitching tonight.
They brought out Tanner McDougal from AAA. He has not pitched. I could see him getting some action today because of that. And obviously, Eric Fetty has not pitched since Friday. He's used to getting a lot of action. So you may see Fetty today. You may see McDougal. We'll see how it goes for the White Sox. But, it's still a concern in that bullpen. Obviously, Grant Taylor, I love Grant Taylor. He's finally back at closing again. I don't know why they took him out of that originally. It's a situation where I think we see some runs here.
Yeah. And there's runs available off the Reds bullpen too, who really has very few high leverage relievers you want in a big spot. Like, I mean, even their closer can be beat. And if you have the over, you're not real disappointed if Eric Fetty's in the game. I mean, he's, you'll take a bulk. You'll take 2 or 3 innings of relief from Fetty if you're on the over here. Yeah, I think that's a good call. I actually think I like that total the best of the ones we've talked about so far. Good. All right, let's move along. All right, yeah, this is absolutely one we need to talk about. Very interesting game here. Paul Skeens around -110. Yuri Perez. Doug says seems like the fish are the play. Brian, I'm going to let you start this one off. This is the Adam Trigger Invitational here. I've been high on both these teams this year. Neither are now playing the way I'd hope they'd be playing at this point in the season. And of course, there's all of the discourse around Paul Skeens. So how do you look at Marlins Pirates? Do you have a side or a total here?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised the Skeens was favored here. We're looking at Skeens, maybe a 112 favorite, 115 favorite, total 7 to the under. I'm actually seeing a 6.5 to the over out there too. So they're not expecting many runs here. Usually a pretty good pitcher's ballpark here in Miami, but Paul Skeens he didn't have spin on his ball all season long. Now his velocity's down, his confidence. And you got to realize these guys, these athletes, some to the level of Paul Skeens, he has been the best player on his team since he was in the Little League, I'm sure. And now he's finally questioning what's going on here. So is it an injury? If he says it's an injury, then is it going to lessen his free agency numbers? Is he going to get less money? So is he playing hurt? That's quite possibly. The Pirates are still, even though the Pirates have struggled lately, they're not out of the playoff race yet, although it's looking to be that way soon. But I have my concerns about Paul Skeens. If I'm playing Miami. When Perez has been healthy, he's been terrific. It's not a major situation for me. I just think the Miami should have probably been about a 110, 115 favorite, and we're getting Pittsburgh in that situation right now.
I'm with you. I thought I made the Marlins a slight favorite here. I think you look at this Pirates team in addition to Skeens. Now, listen, I wouldn't be so surprised if Skeens comes out and pitches okay, like battles his way to a decent effort. You got to understand with pitchers, especially, they're never as bad as their worst outing, and they're probably never as good as their best outing. And so, a guy like Skeens comes out and is really struggling, goes back in, tweaks some stuff, figures some stuff out. Listen, even last time out, when he was still getting criticized, he still went 5 innings and only gave up 3 runs. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's an effort that you will take most of the time from a starting pitcher. The problem is it's Paul Skeens. We just expect, based on his first 2 years in the league, we expect far better. That's why it's just, so shocking to see some of the efforts from him of late. If he goes out and throws 5-6 innings and gives up 2-3 runs, well, the Pirates are going to be in this game. But the reason, so there's other reasons that I gravitate toward the Marlins. One, I do think that even when Skeens is very good, you can make a case that Yuri Perez is in the conversation. I mean, when Yuri Perez is, he's got a high ceiling. Remember, this is a guy that there was points in time as he's coming up and he's battled. He had a huge injury that almost took him out for like 2 years. But like, I've always thought he had ace upside, and he may be their ace at this point. He can be a little inconsistent at times, but last month, a 173 batting average against, a 0.84 whip, and then, maybe a little bit of a dud in Atlanta, but it's a good Braves team. What are you going to do? That's a going into Atlanta and giving up a few runs, not the worst thing in the world. I have my concerns with the Pirates lineup right now. And this was a lineup that we talked about being at the top of Major League Baseball all season to this point. Go back like go into the month of August. They were like number 2 in WRC plus. They were crushing right-handed pitching. And what's happened since then? Ryan O'Hearn pulls a hamstring. He's out. Esperlin Valdez has been on a milk carton. Can't find him anywhere. He's been hitting under like literally since the month flipped to August. I believe he has a sub 100 batting average. And he was driving the bus for them for over a month. So the Pirates have far bigger issues than just Skeens. They did get some decent relievers, but it's still not a great bullpen. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the Marlins are the side here. This is one I'm starting to like it more and more. As we talk about this game, I'm starting to like it more and more.
Yeah, it's not like Skeens has been bad. It's just not his normal stuff. His average game score on the season is 56. And other than when they played in Cincinnati, and he got hit up pretty good, he had a 22 game score. That was 2 games ago. But his other games, 55 at Milwaukee, 52 against the Cubs, 69 against Cleveland, 65 against Milwaukee, 56 against Atlanta. He's been pitching pretty well. It's just that when he has a blow up, he's had that 22 against Cincinnati. He had a 17 against Philadelphia. He had going all the way back to the beginning of the season. I mean, he's had certain games. His opener against the Mets this year, 18. So when he's bad, he's been really bad. But normally, he's a pretty good pitcher. He's just not the Paul Skeens we have seen in the past.
All right, I am gonna throw one out there on my kind of. It's actually kind of a long list today. And we haven't talked about many of the games that I'm really considering for clients. One of them was the A's, which I think I've somewhat talked myself off of at this point. So let's go to one. Let's go to this one. Let's go to our nation's capital. The Cubbies are going to take on the Nationals. I am seeing a question mark as to who's pitching for the Nationals all of a sudden. I don't think that really matters so much for my handicap. I had written down Jake Irvin, but this is like the Nats love to like throw. They may fire out, what's his name? They may put Palmquist ahead of him or someone like that. So anyway, Cubs Nationals, the Nationals are a team. They sold at the trade deadline. That coincided with like a 6-game losing streak where everyone left them for dead. And then they had like a really impressive weekend this past weekend where I just want to make sure I'm not misspeaking, but did they sweep the Reds in that series? I think they may have swept the Reds.
I believe they did.
So yeah, listen, like you still have the Nats, like they're hanging around. This is still a team that has some bats, though they've been without James Wood. So now they have the Cubs coming to town. Cubs Nationals. I'll let you kick this one off, Brian. How do you see this one?
The Cubs got Minaga, the lefty, going against Irvin. And at least that's what I have. But if you're going to play this, don't list the home team's starter because, as was said, they may use Palmquist. You'd hate to lose a bet just because Palmquist is going to pitch one inning. But the Cubs are about a 160 favorite here, a total of 9, slightly to the under. The thing that bothers me about Washington is, other than C.J. Abrams, who do they got that's going to scare you? I mean, I do like Ortiz, the first baseman they brought up. I think he's got a decent future. He was their 24th ranked prospect this year. But they got Jose Tina, they got Dylan Lyle, who I like him as a player, but he doesn't hit for a lot of power. Dylan Cruz continues to be a 4A player. Vivas, Nunez, love his speed, but he hasn't hit a lick in the second half of the season. Ruiz is having a nice bounce back season at catcher, and he's a pretty good player overall. Jacob Young's been pretty good for them, but they don't have the power bats, and that's the problem when you got your best power hitter on the IL. And they got to be able to score some runs other than trying to generate runs with speed. They got to be able to hit for power once in a while. They did have yesterday off, which helps the bullpen. Their top 4 relievers haven't pitched in the last 2 days, so they're pretty set in the bullpen there. But I'm not a big fan of the starter or the follower or whatever they're going to go with today. The Cubs are a team that, from a talent standpoint, they went out and got some starting pitchers at the trade deadline, as opposed to the opposition. Look at some of these names they've got in their lineup. Crow Armstrong is up. I think he may be either tied or very close with Ohtani to win the MVP in the National League. Suzuki, we've seen him. He's a solid player. Bush not having the same season he had last year, but Bregman's been around a long time. Ian Happ's having a bad year, but still, he's a good player. He's getting up there in age now at 30, 32. But, Horner's a guy, put him on the bases, let him steal some bases. So they've got guys on this team in Chicago that can hit from 1 to 9. They got Dansby Swanson batting number 9. I mean, he's at the tail end of his career at basically 33, but he's a solid number 9 hitter, and he's a solid number 7 hitter for most teams. And they got some good guys on the bench. So from a bullpen standpoint, they're in terrific shape. The last 3 days, other than Colin Ray, who came in on Saturday and threw 63 pitches in relief as basically a follower, Zephyr John threw 24 pitches on Sunday, and Assad threw 5 pitches. Other than that, nobody's pitched the last 3 days. So the Cubs have their entire bullpen ready, very fresh in this game. And Imanaga is a guy, as a lefty, and Washington's hit lefties pretty well this year. But keep in mind, a lot of those guys are no longer on the team. So I like the Cubs here. I don't know if I can get there. I see a 150 out there right now. If it's 150 across the board, I may be interested in the Cubs. But right now, with it about 160, it's probably a pass for me.
I will make the case for the other side. I think the Nationals are going to be the team that I probably look at the most the rest of the way as a dog, especially when you can get the +1.5 at the price that you can get it here, -115. Reason being, no question. So really they lost their 3 best power hitters because James Wood's on the IL, and then Curtis Mead got traded, and Luis Garcia got traded. But I do think that there was replacement players for Garcia and for Mead that were at least pretty close in Abby Ortiz and Brady House. So you're not like essentially losing 3 guys, because if those guys were playing, there wouldn't be room in the lineup for House, and there wouldn't be room in the lineup for Ortiz. So again, no question, this is not quite as deadly of this. And when you take James Wood out, I mean, James Wood is a generation,
especially the way he was hitting too. He was dominating. Yeah.
So there's no question that this Nats lineup took a hit. But I watched a lot of that Red series, and this team right now, with what they did for their bullpen, they upgraded their bullpen tenfold based on what they were running out there 2 weeks ago. And remember, this was a team that was still winning games in spite of this terrible bullpen. Friday night, I was on the Nats. I won with the Nats on Friday night. I'll tell you what, having Giovanni Cruz, who came over from the Yankees, I think Ribalta came in for 1 inning, but then Beater at the end. Like Clayton Beater should be your closer.
He's pitching very, very well lately. Yeah, he's found it.
He didn't just find it. I mean, he's really quietly had a great season. Yeah. It's just the Nationals are now giving him the opportunity to close games. He's got 12 saves. He came in and locked that game down. You know, you throw Jake Bird into the mix, who's always, in my opinion, been a pretty good big league reliever. And, you know, Jake Bird's issues, I think, were more New York based.
Could be.
You having to pitch in the big market. Because if you remember, the Yankees traded for Bird from the Rockies, and I think he had a sub-2 ERA the season that they traded for him. Suddenly he's in big spots. Well, guess what? Now you're in Washington. It's back to no one caring. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the big spot anymore. Bird pitched on Sunday in the 7-1 win. Believe he came in with a clean inning, 2 strikeouts, 1-2-3 inning. I think Brad Lord came back the other day, if I saw correctly.
He's a good pitcher. Yeah.
You know, he was probably their best sort of like bulk guy. Sometimes they had to use him as a starter, but like he was a very, very effective sort of bulk type pitcher. And he came back from injury in the 8-2 win for the Nationals on Saturday. He actually think he pitched Saturday or Sunday. The point is, the Nationals were winning games for 3 months in spite of just an atrocious collection of relievers. And now I think they figured out they've got some roles in there. They figured out that Beater's their closer, and they have 3 or 4 good bullpen arms that they didn't have a couple weeks ago. So you take House and give him some playing time. You take Ortiz and give him some playing time. I'm kind of in on the Nationals from a day-to-day basis. I don't know if they're going to the playoffs, Brian. Probably not in this great National League. But certainly, I think we're back to getting big-time underdog value with the Nats. So I'm actually going to make Nationals plus 1.5 my parlay leg. I think that's a nice cushion in a game. I think they can get some off Imanaga. He's not someone that I just like think is going to go on the road and like fire 7 scoreless at this point. So I'm going to go Nats plus 1.5. I'm back into what they're doing with their pitching. I think they will open. It'll be like Palmquist or someone to match up with the Cubs lefties early. And if you get decent, you can get 3 or 4 good innings from Jake Irvin. I think they're right near that bullpen. They've got more options and they keep it close. So I will go Nationals plus 1.5 for my parlay leg. And that's one I'm considering today as well.
Okay. They're minus 115. And it's been an interesting show without TB here because with 2 people, you got more of a chance to go head to head. And we've gone head to head on a lot of games today. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. I'm not involved with a lot of those games. I only got really 1 play up for clients, and that's my 4% total. But it'll be interesting how this day works out.
Yeah, it is. And you know, full disclosure, I found that this slate to be a little bit tricky to this point. I have not released a play in Major League Baseball yet. I certainly will. Most likely will at some point. I have opinions. None of them have become plays, but that is one that I'm definitely considering. Freebird, shout out to Freebird. He says, great show. What is the best game total or team total today? I'll go first, Brian. I think I'd say that Reds White Sox over would be the best total I see on the board. Do you agree? Do we agree on that, or do you have something else there as well?
No, I agree on that. And by the way, Freebird, Kelly in Vegas is trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so, that's not always a good thing, but in this case,
anytime a beautiful woman's trying to get a hold of me, I make myself available. I don't know about his situation, but it's obviously has something to do with how nice you've been and continuing for these charities. I think she wants to do something for you, to be honest with you. I don't know for sure. But the office is probably so excited about, you're so consistently coming in and donating. We want to do something for you. I know a lot of people don't like that, but that's probably what it is. So if you're interested, give the office a call. They're looking for you.
Yeah, or email into customer support. It's a great way to get into touch with them. They'll answer right away. Yeah, for anyone else, it's a good thing. If Kelly Vegas is trying to get in touch with me, I've typically done something to warrant getting scolded. But if it's you, it's probably a good thing.
That's right.
But I see. Here's the thing: like Byron Castro, another flyer parlay from Trigger. I disagree. Like I just laid out a pretty solid reasoning as to like why I like the Nationals, and like they've won 4 of their last 5. You're catching a run and a half. Why is that a flyer? I just said that might be something I play for clients today. I don't look at it like that.
Listen, I've been doing this for 45 years, and when people don't like your play, That's the day that it wins. Just the other day, somebody thought I was crazy giving out the Angels, and they were like a 150 underdog, and they win. I have more confidence in those plays when everybody
always
bitches.
The right side. Yeah, the Angels were always the right side in that game. Yeah. That's not a quote unquote flyer. That's a legitimate, like I said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 sides that I think show a little bit of value and make some sense. In no particular order, the Nationals are one of them. I'm not sure I'll get to the window with it, but I will be betting. I'll tell you this. This is probably the most actionable thing I can give you. I will be looking for spots to bet on the Nationals over the next couple weeks based on what I just laid out. Because they will be underdogs, and they totally revamped that bullpen. That is a night and day between the bullpen now and what the bullpen looked like 3 weeks ago. So don't sleep on the Nats. They might play spoiler. They're 5 games out of the wild card. I don't know if they'll play their way back into like any sort of contention, but this team will play spoiler down the stretch. You have my word on that.
Well, talking about sleeping, I've been up since 4 a.m. Are we about done here? Give everybody the parlay.
Yeah, the parlay of the day is as follows. We have Bryan Leonard, Yankees minus 130. I'm going to be on Nationals plus 1.5, minus 115. It's just a 2-teamer today. So 2 full game sides. Yankees minus 130, Nats plus 1.5, minus 115. It is $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. So go to our page, check out the website. There's plays up for everyone for just $5. We'll have Tokyo Brandon back tomorrow, and the 3 of us will see you at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great day, everyone. Cash your tickets. We'll see you guys in the morning.